Hello, everybody. This is NONYASISCHAT. So today I decided to do something a little different than normal for my skit review. So I looked at a few storylines today, and it looks like some of them are taking a twist slash maybe ending or a new beginning. So I'm just going to give you the highlights of 5 or 6 of them and just to bring you up to date because the majority of us don't have a chance to watch all of the storylines. Okay, I did make a list because there's a lot, but I'm going to make it as short as I can. And some of them are quite interesting. So let's start with Darren and Lisa. Darren and Lisa, the divorce is going to happen. Darren comes over, I believe, to Danielle and Ben's home, and she's staying with Danielle and Ben, of course. He drops her clothes off on the ground, and they go around a little bit about having a spat because Darren knows all about the Mike and Lisa situation. Lisa's daughter, Grace, comes home. Darren leaves, and Lisa explains to her that they're going to get a divorce. But she doesn't tell Grace that she had an affair. She tells Grace that Darren was controlling and that Lisa was very unhappy, which are both true. And we do know that Lisa put her singing career on hold to marry Darren, and he never appreciated the real value of his wife. And then he shot down the fact that she had the Pilates studio. So in the end, Grace says she understands. Darren heads over to speak to their son to let him know that Lisa and Darren are getting a divorce. Darren tells his son that Lisa cheated on him. Nothing about the controlling aspect from Lisa's perspective. So now we have 2 children with 2 different understandings of why their parents are divorcing. And of course, the 2 kids call each other with 2 different stories as to why the parents are divorcing. And both of the children are sad / upset. So that wraps one storyline. Well, doesn't wrap it up, but we can put bookends on it for now. The next one that we have is Amber. So Amber's in, pure Amber happiness about the fact that they're going to present a 25% offer to Wayne tomorrow. And keep in mind that Wayne already knows about this contract negotiation because Lauren told him about it. He doesn't know about the 25%. However, the point is Amber goes home to Dave and she's happy doing her Amber dance. And we know that probably tomorrow it's not going to end happy for Amber. So this part of speaking with the lawyer by the young women, this part's done. So I guess tomorrow we start the new phase of Wayne saying hell to the no. Okay? And Amber's day is going to go downhill as usual. Next, one of the storylines that I actually find refreshing for the day was Mike and Blake. Now, no, they didn't make up. Yes, Blake is still talking to Jordan, but Mike goes into Blake's place of employment and he offers to give Blake her key back to the house. And keep in mind, Mike and Dom have broken up because Dom found out about Lisa and Mike. So Dom storms in, and lo and behold, there is the pastor's daughter or the visiting pastor, whoever it was, is there. Dom storms in, and she's just furious, and she sees this new woman. And she asks a few questions, and Mike's basically ignoring Dom, telling her she can leave. But anyway, Mike heads up to where Blake is, and he tells her she can have her house back, the guest house. And he leaves the key on the counter for his daughter. And Mike says he's not going to bother her about it. He leaves the key and he goes on. So Blake has the key to move back to Mike's house for Blake. He didn't mention Jordan, but for Blake. So we shall see if Blake takes the key and starts all over with her dad. Okay? And then the one that I actually found quite interesting is Pari and Shayla. They meet up for, looks like lunch, I guess, and cocktails. Pari informs Shayla that after the catastrophe at Roan and Chardai's home, when she barged into Charardai and Roan's house, she was arrested and she went to jail. So she tells Shayla she is no longer drinking. Pari said she wants to clean up. She's done with the drinking. And Shayla's like, what do you mean? Because Shayla's for the dark side of the mountain. But Pari goes on to tell Shayla about a young man that she fell in love with while she was in college. She never did name it as being Anthony. And I said the man, as being Anthony. And she told Shayla she got pregnant with a baby, but she said she didn't keep the baby. This time she didn't say a little boy. She said a baby. And Shayla is looking at her like, what is she talking about? You know how Shayla gets the evil eye and starts rolling her eyes and cutting her eyes at you. So the man brings over 2 drinks, and Pari politely gives her drink to Shayla, and she orders a lemonade. Now, this seemed to anger Shayla. Shayla got upset because she's now not understanding what is Pari talking about. And she asked her, what are you talking about? What do you mean you're not drinking anymore? You're always drinking. In other words, you can't just change your path like this. What are you talking about, Pari? And she's cutting her eyes, the whole eye roll and throwing her head and the whole bit, because Shayla is used to people doing what she says and what she expects them to do. And Pari puts a twist in there to tell Shayla, I'm not drinking anymore. What kind of friend is Shayla? Because what does she do? She, in her own nasty Shayla way, put Pari down for deciding she doesn't want to drink anymore. And Shayla's telling her, what are you talking about? You always drink. In other words, this is who you are, Pari, and this is who I expect you to be. She didn't say it, but she sure did act it. So Pari is starting a new mission in life, and that is to not drink. Shayla is not happy about it. So let's see if they continue their friendship or not. They didn't leave. They still had lunch, but Shayla's totally confused now. How is Pari just going to stop drinking? And why? And who is this man from college? And why doesn't Pari just go back over there and talk to the man? Just, Shayla nonsense. But let's see what happens with Pari, because that's the important part of the story. Is Pari going to stop drinking? And then last but not least, my actual new number 2 storyline that I actually do like is Tommy, Martin, and Gina. where Tommy is Roan, Charardai is Gina, and Damien is Martin. And to be perfectly honest, in spite of what we might think about Charardai or Roan or Damien, their chemistry is great. Roan and Damien are funny. They are funny together. And they do remind you of Tommy and Martin. And Charardai is right in the middle. She's a loud Gina. She takes the pillow and she hits Roan with the pillow sometimes. And, they're just a couple, like a normal everyday couple. They're over the fiasco basically of what happened at the music studio and the sex tape. Roan has agreed he'll help her find another music company. Damien comes over and he's just upset because Charardai needed to get away from Roan for a day when she found out that Roan went to bed with Pari a few days ago. He did, and he should have just went home, but what did he do? Stopped off over there, and that happened. Anyway, and if you don't know this part, Damien slapped Roan for telling Charardai the truth. He said, why would you tell her that? Why did you tell her the truth? She wouldn't have run off if she didn't know the truth, but Roan was, I guess, correct in telling Charardai the truth. So she goes off for 5 days. Roan and Damien have no food. And if you know the storyline at all, Charardai is a cook. She's a very, very good cook, apparently. The guys eat great. Damien goes over there just for home cooked food. And he's always messing around in her pots. And she's fussing at him, get out of my pots. Why are you in there? Da 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 da. So anyway, today, Damien's there. Charardai's back home and she's cooking. And Damien, of all people, seems happier than Roan that Charardai is back. And he grabs the pot lid and he grabs a spoon and he goes to taste something. He went in the refrigerator, grabbed a juice. But the reason I'm telling you about this is because it is funny. It's funny and it's entertaining. And I do like that storyline. I can get over the whole Charardai, Jocelyn / diva ordeal because this is refreshing. And so far, so good. They had their ups and their downs, they being Charardai and Roan. Then they go somewhere and they get lost in the woods at night. They're hearing all these creepy things going on. And the only people you can think about is Martin and Gina out in the woods, lost. So anyway, with that said, I like the storyline so far. It's funny. It's refreshing. It's not around the music studio. It's happening all at the home of Roan and Charardai. So welcome in Martin, Gina, and Tommy. It's a nice storyline. So far, so good. Started off rocky, but they're in a good space and it's funny. So maybe, people will take a look at it, and just maybe smile. Okay. This is NONYASISCHAT. I'm going to leave it here and let's see where everything goes. And we shall see where all of these go. We'll talk to you later. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.